Established in 1948, the Hells Angel is the largest outlaw motorcycle club globally, boasting over 6,000 members and 467 charters in 59 countries. In this video, we'll show you the top 6 Hell Angel members reacting to life in prison sentence. Make sure to watch the entire video as numerous law enforcement and intelligence agencies, including the United States Department of Justice, consider the club to be part of an organized crime syndicate. So, let's get started with the video. Jay Witt. A judge in Omaha, Nebraska, has ruled that 47-year-old Jay Witt will stand trial for the killing of 48-year-old William Furlong at the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. Witt faces charges of second-degree murder and using a firearm to commit a felony. In court, a detective testified that Furlong's body was found near the bar area of the clubhouse on July 14th. Surveillance video showed Witt and his girlfriend arriving at the clubhouse around 2:15 a.m., with Furlong arriving just before 5 a.m. The footage also showed Witt and the woman leaving around 9:30 a.m. with a plastic bag, and Witt wiping down the door handles before leaving in a Chevy Cruze with Virginia plates. The woman in the video, identified as Tammy Kozak, faces charges of tampering with evidence and being an accessory. She is currently held at Pottawatomie County Jail on unrelated charges. In an interview, Kozak said Witt woke her up, saying he got into it with a bro. Witt appeared calm during his court appearances, with a demeanor suggesting he was resigned to his fate. In 2019, the Nebraska Department of Correctional Services reported that 53-year-old inmate Jay Witt died while serving a 40-year sentence for killing Furlong at the Hells Angels clubhouse in July 2013. The case drew significant attention due to the involvement of the Notorious motorcycle club and the violent nature of the crime. Adam Lee Hall. In Springfield, Massachusetts, Adam Lee Hall, a high-ranking member of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, was found guilty of murdering 3 men to prevent them from testifying against him. A jury in Hampton Superior Court convicted Hall of 3 counts of murder, along with charges of kidnapping and witness intimidation. Hall, 36 years old, was sentenced to consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. The victims, David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell, were killed in August 2011. Their bodies were discovered in Beckett. Prosecutors stated that Hall targeted Glasser, who had previously been assaulted by Hall and was set to testify. Frampton and Chadwell were killed because they were with Glasser and could also be witnesses. During the trial, Hall's defense lawyer argued there was no physical evidence directly linking Hall to the murders. However, 2 co-defendants testified that Hall orchestrated the killings, and another man, charged as an accessory, admitted to helping dispose of the bodies out of fear of Hall. District Attorney David Capeless praised the thoroughness of the investigation, highlighting the extensive efforts to ensure the right person was charged. As the verdicts were read, Hall showed no emotion and kept his head down. Members of the victims' families and police officers in the courtroom embraced, expressing relief that the trial had concluded. Stephen Sanders. Stephen Sanders, a former leader of the San Diego chapter of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for multiple felonies, including kidnapping, assault, robbery, and solicitation of murder. District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis announced the sentencing, detailing Sanders' involvement in several crimes. He admitted to kidnapping 2 people for the benefit of a criminal gang and was convicted of robbery and assault in July 2012. In March 2012, Sanders was found guilty of soliciting murder, as prosecutors revealed he attempted to have witnesses and investigators killed in connection with a pending kidnapping torture. Sanders also pleaded guilty to assault with a deadly weapon after a violent attack in Pacific Beach and to felony kidnapping and committing crimes for the benefit of a criminal gang. Sanders claimed he felt pressured to plead guilty during his sentencing to avoid a lengthy trial sentence. He also asserted he never admitted the Hells Angels were a criminal gang. His attorney's attempt to withdraw the guilty plea based on new witness testimony was denied. The case was a collaborative effort between the District Attorney's Office and the Drug Enforcement Administration. Dumanis stated that Sanders' sentencing was a significant victory for law enforcement. Joseph Lancia. Joseph Lancia, the leader of Rhode Island's Hells Angels chapter, is set to serve 5 years in prison for a 2019 shooting involving a former prospective club member. Lancia pled nolo contendere to felony assault and carrying a gun without a license, leading the state to dismiss some charges. Judge Kristen Rogers stated that Lancia would receive a 15-year sentence, with 5 years to serve and the remaining time suspended with probation, provided he avoids trouble and appears in court on time. The shooting occurred in June 2019 outside the Providence Hells Angels clubhouse. Lancia fired a shot at a truck driven by a former prospective member after a disagreement. The bullet hit the passenger side door, but the driver was unharmed and reported the incident to state police, who then raided the clubhouse. Lancia will also serve a concurrent sentence of 3 years for a February 2020 assault at the Cadillac Lounge, a Providence strip club, where he knocked someone out during a fight. In total, Lancia will serve 18 years in prison for his crimes. His attorney stated that Lancia believed resolving the case this way was in his best interest. While hearing his sentence, he appeared calm but seemed depressed. As the judge handed down the sentence, he looked at her briefly before lowering his gaze and staring at the floor for some time. Roughly a dozen members of the Hells Angels biker group were present in the courtroom to witness his final moments of freedom, showing their support for their fellow members. The atmosphere in the courtroom was tense, reflecting the gravity of the situation and the impact of Lancia's actions on both his life and the community. Kaai Vives, one of 3 men charged with the 2011 murders of David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell, was seen in court during his trial in Springfield. Vives, who has pleaded not guilty, is accused of collaborating with Adam Lee Hall and David Chalo in the killings. Jurors heard from witnesses placing Vives with Hall and Chalo in the days leading up to the murders. Springfield Police Lieutenant Robert Tardif testified that he saw Hall and Vives leave a Hells Angels party together and later return with Chalo. Hall and Chalo have already been convicted of the murders and are serving life sentences without parole. The 3 victims disappeared shortly before Glasser was to testify against Hall. Their dismembered bodies were found in Beckett 10 days later. Prosecutors claimed that Hall, Chalo, and Vives kidnapped the victims from Frampton's home in August 2011 and shot them. Vives' lawyer James Reardon maintains his client had no involvement in the crimes. Witnesses included Nancy Amuso, who saw Hall and Vives together on the day of the murders, and Caitlin Carmen, who recounted Hall's threats against Glasser. Carmen said she, Hall, Vives, and Chalo spent time together in the days leading up to the murders, with Hall frequently expressing anger towards Glasser. Carmen also testified about Hall's interactions with another associate, David Casey, who has been charged as an accessory after the fact. Casey testified that Hall forced him to help bury the victims' remains. Jurors also heard from Home Depot employees who recalled Vives visiting the store with another man to look at saws shortly before the murders. After 37 hours of deliberation over 6 days, the jury found Vives guilty. Upon hearing the verdict, Vives reacted angrily, shouting at the jurors. David Chalo. A Hampton County Superior Court jury has convicted David Chalo of first-degree murder in the 2011 killing of David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell. Chalo was also found guilty of kidnapping and witness intimidation related to the murders. This verdict makes him the 3rd person convicted in this Berkshire County triple murder case. The jury deliberated for several days before delivering their verdicts. Initially, 1 juror expressed uncertainty, prompting further polling. However, on Friday, all jurors confirmed their agreement with the guilty verdicts. Chalo's sentencing is scheduled for May 19th, with a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. Earlier the same year, Adam Lee Hall was also found guilty of these murders and is now serving a life sentence without parole. Berkshire County District Attorney David F. Capeless praised the jury and the investigators for their dedication to the case. He emphasized the ongoing effort to secure justice for the victims, with the trial of the 3rd co-defendant, Kaai Vives. The case dates back to August 2011, when David Glasser, his roommate Edward Frampton, and their friend Robert Chadwell disappeared just weeks before Glasser was to testify against Hall. Their dismembered bodies were found in Beckett 10 days later. Prosecutors revealed that Hall, Chalo, and Vives kidnapped the victims from Frampton's Pittsfield home and fatally shot them. Due to concerns about finding an impartial jury in Berkshire County, the trials were moved to Hampton Superior Court. So this was all about today's video. Do let us know your thoughts and comments. Please subscribe to The Luxury World. Thank you for watching.